Hopefully you can see all the damage on it there. It's pretty bad. You can see all of them. It's really just bad condition. Very bad condition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and mask it up. There we go. We're all masked up. First tool, soapy water. Nothing but water and a little bit of soap. What we have in this headlight is we have a polycarbonate cover. Glass has not been used since the 90s. Instead they use polycarbonate or plastic. This plastic is pitted and damaged and scored, and as you can see this one is badly marked. So then the front goes opaque like this, and it basically loses its shine or loses its clarity. So when it's lost its clarity, the headlight looks really dull and horrible, and it really takes away from the whole front of the car, makes it look old. So what we can do is we can either buy a new headlight. Some cases the Audi headlights, the A2 headlights, are splittable. This one is splittable. It has clips all the way around. We'll talk about that in another video. But splittable, and the front can come off and you could replace the front. However, I wanted to show how you can actually clean up the front of the light itself. In order to do that, we have to take some drastic action. There are various sprays and potions you can use, which I don't think do much help. But effectively what we need to do is we need to wet sand the front of this, exactly if we were wet sanding paint and clear coat, to be able to get through scratches, which again we will show on Pat. I'm going to go back and have a look at Pat and do some wet sanding on that as well to try and remove some of the marks to show how it's done. This is the same process. So what we do is we'll start by explaining the different grits on sandpaper, because this is something that I probably should have known a long time ago, but I didn't. So you can start down at P50, P40, P30, P20, which is quite gritty, quite abrasive. P600, reasonably fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with P600. We're then going to move on to P1500, which is a fine grit. And then I have 2000 and 2500, but I think what we'll actually do is we'll move on to 3000 and take it with 3000 as well. So starting with a really coarse grit, comparatively, take off the top cover, then get finer and finer. So P600, then P1500, then 3000. So in that order, 600, then 1500, then 3000 will hopefully get us to the point that it's in good condition. It will look terrible, okay? If we do this correctly, it will look terrible. And then what happens is we take the orbital polisher, the dual action, and we use cutting compound, which is even finer than the 3000, and then polish it out. Hopefully with those on the end, it should make a big difference, and we should be able to get back to a reasonably clear headlight. It might not be perfect, because this headlight seems to have sustained a bit of damage, but this is good for the process, to be able to show you how it's done. And I'm going to put a line down here actually. I'm going to cover up, as much as I can anyway, one side of the headlight. You often see before and afters, and I've always wondered myself, is it before and after? Or have they replaced the headlight? So let's do this on a little bit. Let's do that, yeah? And hopefully we will be able to see the difference if this tape, masking tape, holds up to the polishing process. But what I'll try and do is I'll try and make sure that I replace it as we go through. So I'm not going to cheat. And hopefully we should be able to see a massive difference between here and here. So the first thing that we're going to do, I'm going to put a little bit of glass cleaner on there. So I've got the glass cleaner, I'm just going to give it a clean off. A nice clean cloth, make sure it's nice and clean. Now we're going to take, we've got our soapy water, we can give it a bit of a squish and we will continue to do so as we go through. And we'll take our 600 sandpaper and wet the sandpaper as well. And then we're going to start sanding. We're going to sand all the way across and we're going to do side to side motions here. We're going to make sure that we apply plenty of water. I'm going to do this for, I think, 5 minutes. Make sure we get right into the edges. Only a little bit more water. Applying firm pressure, but not hard. And we can see what's happening there. You can see all the top coat of the, give this a quick squish. You can see the top coat of this coming off. That's what the milky residue is. It's the top coat of the polycarbonate coming off. And a little bit more water here. Okay. So, let's have a look, see what we've got. So we're going to hit it here with some window cleaner. Hopefully you're going to see, I've got some definite sanding marks in this. Probably need to go over it a little bit more. So, that's 600. That is 600. So, what we need to do now, get rid of that 600 and replace it with some 1500. Now we're looking to refine this. So we're looking to refine the marks on here and try and flatten them out a little bit. So again, we go at it, and now we can go at it up and down as well as left and right in order to try and remove some of those sanding marks that we had from going left and right. So this shouldn't make it look any better, but this just makes it a much lighter cut. I would suggest, if possible, if you can take the headlights off the car in order to do this, you will be able to get into the edges more easily without fear of damaging the car. So you can okay, let's give it a little hip glass cleaner. You can see, hopefully, I can see here that the marks are still there, definitely still there, but we have an appreciable difference in the refinement of those marks. They are not quite so pronounced in terms of the grain of them. A dry cloth here. Right. So now we will get some 3000. Right, okay. So this is now 3000. So we started on 600. We then went to 1500. And now we're further refining at 3000. Always keep the sandpaper moving, always feel the headlight for temperature, check that you're not overcooking it. I'm doing this in a quite cold climate, quite cold today, it's about 4 degrees, so I've not got much chance of overcooking it. It's not in the direct sunlight. I always recommend that you do this under cover if you can. Certainly not in direct sunlight where it can dry out too quick. When we're going through this process, it is obviously possible to do this multiple times. If you do not find that you're getting the required result from the first one, you can go again. So as we can see, we're getting better and better refinement here. It's really starting to look like a headlight again. Right. So we will hit it again with some window cleaner, here, glass cleaner. Use our cloth. There we go, take it back. Now, hopefully it's visible on the camera, but that is noticeably better. It is now very lightly scuffed all over. But the clarity is coming back a little bit. It's not quite so opaque. Not quite so opaque. It's still opaque, but not quite so opaque. Hopefully we can see that. So now, we go on to the compound, followed by the polish. This is what we're after. Meguiar's Ultimate Compound. Some of the compound on the front there. And start off at a very slow speed and build our way up. So, that's the first shot of the polishing compound. And what we'll do now is we will hit it up with some more glass cleaner, get any of the residue off. Hopefully now we can see it's getting better. I mean, it's not perfect. We'll keep going. In terms of where we were to where we are, we're seeing a big difference. Okay, we have a clean pad. And we're going to move on to Meguiar's Ultimate Polish. Standard pattern, push bits on, and dabbing across the surface. Some more glass cleaner. Now, I don't know how clear it is from the camera. I think there are still polishing marks in there, and it's not as refined as I would like it to be. You can still see the swirls on there. I think we may need to go over that again. Let's start slow. Well, I can see that it's a lot better, but it's not perfect. So let's see what a difference we've made. I may go on to do another video on this, but let's see. Let's see the difference we have made, and if it's been worthwhile or not, and if we need to maybe do more of this work on the light to just make it perfect. But if we've had a good start at it, then I'll continue and finish off the rest. So, one last little wipe down across the whole light. And see if it's been worthwhile. I think I need to spend more time on it refining it further. But this was just to show what can be done and how to do it. It's come out quite well. Here is the original headlight. Here is what it looks like. And I don't know if you can see that clear line there. I can see it here, but it's hard to tell if you can see it on the camera. But look at the difference. Look at that difference. Look at what we have done to that light. Definitely able to recover these lights back with this sort of treatment. So just to remind you of the things that we have done and how we did it. So first off, we started by masking off the headlight. We then applied some window cleaner to degrease it. We then used some soapy water solution. We then used 600 grit sandpaper to take out the large marks, take the top coat off. And we were wet sanding that, so we were continuing to use the soapy water on the 600 grit sandpaper as we went. We then degreased again, and then wet again. Then went up to the 1500 grit sandpaper, and then did the same process again, whereby we refined the sanding marks, always wet sanding. We then degreased, wet again, and then we went with the 3000 grit sandpaper, took it back again. All the time this was hazy, this wasn't looking good at all, but it was getting better as we go. As we go up the numbers of the sandpaper, we were getting more and more refined. Again, wetting it down all the time. We then moved on to the orbital polisher, the dual action, and we used Meguiar's Ultimate Compound, which is again more refined than the 3000, and that allowed us to refine it a little bit further. And then we degreased again, and then we came back with the Meguiar's Ultimate Polish, and then that let us take it up to this brilliant clarity that we have right now on the headlight. As you can see, old, new, massive difference. Look down there, old, new. And then we degreased, and we finally just cleaned it again with the water. So 600, 1500, 3000, compound, polish, those both with the dual action, these three with the sanding block. And that has taken us, well, it's taken me probably an hour to be able to do that. And I would recommend that you have the headlight off, because it will be easier to get to all the parts and do this properly, because it's such a curved headlight to be able to do this properly. But as you can see, look at that, it's making a huge difference to that light, a massive difference to that light. Yeah, here's what you can do with some simple tools that you can buy pretty much anywhere. I'll put links in the description where you can get this paper. This paper seems to be really good. These came from Halfords, but I managed to get a pack of these from Amazon, which includes all of the different sizes that we need. As you can see, it's got them all, but what we need is 600, 1500 and 3000. It's got them all in that pack, and that pack was far cheaper than buying all these things. Buy these two things. You don't have to use these ones, but these are the ones that worked for me. They do a really good job. It seemed to clean it up really well. And just a bit of elbow grease. And this is what you get for your trouble. You get a fantastic looking headlight. I will be going over this again just to make sure it's perfect. For me, there's still a few light swirl marks that are hard to see there in the video, but they're there. I'll be going over that again to make sure I get rid of those. And then after that, you can protect it. There's lots of different ways of protecting the headlight once it's like this. You can put headlight covers in place. There's loads of sprays. I wouldn't recommend the sprays because they alter the beam pattern, so I wouldn't do that. There's also clear bra film that you can get to put over the front of them there, which stops the headlight itself becoming damaged with the UV rays, because it's got UV protection in it. That stuff works quite well. It's made by 3M Pro. Again, I can put a link in the description. It's not readily available in the UK except to trade, I don't think. So if anybody's got any comments on where we can find that, that would be really awesome. You have to cut it to the right size and then use the whole, as if you're wrapping the car, put it on the headlight and wrap it, and that can protect it for up to 5 years. And the best bit is you just peel that back off again when you don't want it, and you have a perfect headlight, and you put a new load on, and away you go again. For me though, this wasn't too much problems. This hasn't caused me any concern, and certainly in my use of A2s when I've had them, I've never got a headlight to go to this stage. The headlights that I've got are not perfect necessarily, but they are certainly not as bad as that. They are closer to this. So for me, polishing them off, if you're getting a car that's got this sort of problem rather than replacing the headlights, seems to be a sensible way to go, and you can really get the headlights back to perfect condition. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.